Hey, Falcons and NFL fans. Welcome to another episode of NFL's Jocks and Pigskins with Tom Pollen, Chris Smitherman behind the scenes. I'm Dave Holcomb. The band is back this week, Tom.
Yeah, you got it.
Just in time for a special Halloween treat episode where we talk a lot about the NFL trade deadline. So Falcons are in first place. We're going to talk about who they could be adding at the trade deadline and other players that could be on the move.
Yeah, everything's right in the world. Falcons are in first place. Isn't that something?
Yeah. And I'm wearing my, I think I wear this every year for the Halloween episode, the Reese's Peanut Butter Cup shirt.
Oh,
and fittingly, it's 80 degrees here for Halloween weekend.
Oh, is it?
Yeah.
Isn't that nice?
I would prefer it to be a little cooler.
Yeah, we're starting into a fall weather here, so that's about it. I mean, that's what it's, it is what it is right now.
We got fall weather last week.
Did you?
Yeah, and had to turn the heat on at night, but we're back to 80 degrees now, Tom. So.
All right. Well, hey. Yeah, you had to turn the heat on. Yeah, it's winter in Atlanta, right?
I mean, I would have left it off, but it was really for my wife. And Thomas gets cold. It's only like 12, 13 pounds. He gets a little cold. So
toughen the kid up.
I had to turn it on for him, according to my wife. So
okay.
So it was a nice win for the Falcons last week, as I was at another wedding, unable to watch football.
Yeah.
It was a nice wedding. It was a good time. But I missed you guys last week and missed the NFL again on Sunday.
Yep.
So, but I'm good this week. Good for tomorrow, and I'm excited to see. Hopefully, this Falcons team. I think this is kind of a new term that everyone's been using around the league. I've heard Mike Tomlin say it. I've heard some Detroit Lions players say stacking those wins. Right? Want to see.
I've heard that for a couple of years now.
For a couple of years, okay.
Yeah,
I've heard it a lot more this year. But we're looking for the Falcons to get a second straight win against the Tennessee Titans this week.
Yeah, and I don't see why not, considering that Will Levis is going to be their starting quarterback.
Yeah.
Ryan Tannehill is out. They traded Kevin Byard, safety, to the Philadelphia Eagles, as if the Eagles needed more defense. But, I think they can't. I think they should have blown out Tampa Bay last week if it weren't for the fumbles.
Right.
That should not have been a close game. So, but other than that, yeah, I think this team is playing at a nice level right now. And that defense just keeps coming after you. That defense, every time I watch it, every week I watch it, it's impressive to watch them come after opponents. So, like what I'm seeing.
Well, I think the Titans are trying to throw a curveball to that defense this week by disguising which quarterback's going to play the most. I know Will Levis is going to start. Do you believe that Malik Willis is going to get some playing time as well, or do you think that's just gamesmanship there by Mike Vrabel?
Gamesmanship.
Yeah.
They don't have any faith in Malik Willis unless they plan on running the ball with him. And that's too transparent. You put him in, there's only limited things he can do, and the Falcons defense will be ready for it. I don't think it's going to matter.
Who's playing quarterback, or?
Yeah, I don't think it's going to matter.
No, I don't think so either, but I'm just curious to see how they handle their quarterback situation. Could be quarterback rotations never work, but they're always it's like a train wreck, right? You can't really look away.
Yeah, it is.
The very annoying thing about, driving in this country, probably in any country, but it's like, why am I stuck in traffic? Oh, it's not because there's an accident up ahead.
Yeah.
It's because there is an accident up ahead, but it's on the side of the road and everyone has to slow down and look at it.
Everybody has to see, right?
That's going to be the Tennessee Titans quarterback situation this weekend.
Yes. That basically is it. I don't think Levis, he's probably going to be a decent quarterback. You got to give him time. You got to give him time to grow in that offense. But, I don't see any damage he can. Well, I don't want to say I don't see any damage he can do to the Falcons Sunday, because the minute you say that, that's when a quarterback rises up and does damage.
Yeah.
The Falcons should win. If their defense plays the way they have been playing up to this point in the season, at the same level they played at last week, because they bailed out the Falcons. They bailed out the offense. The offense gave away too many scoring opportunities. You drive down into the red zone, down to the 5, you should score that thing, and couldn't hang on to the ball. One was a bad snap, but 2 others was just bad plays by Desmond Ridder. Got to hang on to the ball, kid.
I mean, it was the same situation the week before, too. I know the Falcons didn't win that game, but they had a chance multiple times to come back in the fourth quarter because the defense kept coming up with stops after turnovers that maybe not red zone turnovers, but turnovers in Washington territory.
Yeah, exactly. So, it's rough. They have to take care of the football better, but it's a team that's shown that they can be effective if they take care of the football better. Let your defense do the work. You can't rely on this defense. You can't rely on any defense. You don't want to, unless you're the 85 Bears or the 2000 Ravens or something like that. But
yeah, but the rules are designed for offenses. So they're just, the more that you rely on your defense, the more you're tempting that other team to.
Yeah, you're tempting fate
to come back. Yeah. And it's just, I think scoring is down in the league this year. The offense is not quite as dominant as maybe it's been in years past.
Yeah, scoring is down.
Why that is, but for the most part, I still feel like there's a lot of games out there where there's a 10-point lead, 17-point lead in the second half, and teams are coming back.
Right. Yeah. I was just looking at that for this week's, for my picks this week's. Jacksonville's been doing that a lot.
Blowing leads?
Yeah, the last 3 games, they scored 64. Their defense have given up 64 points. 42 of those have been in the fourth quarter.
Wow.
It's just.
Well, the Thursday night game against New Orleans.
Right.
Saints came back and tied that game.
So you had the Colts and Bills, they keep letting teams back in. And against the Texans, they gave up 13 fourth quarter points. You just can't live that way. You're not going to survive. You got to close games out. But yeah, there's been a lot of that this season. It's been frustrating when making my picks against the point spread.
So because our team's still winning but not covering the spread.
Yes, exactly.
Yeah,
that's happened quite a bit to me this year.
Right. So, but yeah, I agree with you. This is a game that the Falcons should win. And we have a good comment here from Dave. The Titans will try to ugly this game up, taking the air out of the ball. Yeah, Mike Vrabel, I think, is an underrated coach, and I think he does a good job of coaching to his team's strength.
Yes,
and I think that's probably their goal, because they don't have as much talent on either side of the ball as Atlanta.
No,
and I think the goal for the Falcons is start fast, get a touchdown early. Get a 10-point lead in the first quarter, and then they're chasing the game. I mean, against the Falcons defense.
Well, that's the thing. Make them chase the game without an effective passing attack.
Right.
I mean, you got DeAndre Hopkins, but you don't have a quarterback who can get him the ball.
Yeah. And they can look ugly, put in Malik Willis and have him run around as long as they're close.
Right.
But once it's not close, once it's a 2-score game, hopefully the Falcons can make it a 2-score game early, at least the first half, then I don't think the Titans are going to have the ability to come back.
Neither do I. I think that's the key to it. Get up, make the Falcons chase you with an ineffective quarterback. Ryan Tannehill always has the I mean, he has the talent. He might not have the ability as much anymore. He's getting to be older to bring a team back if they get down a couple of scores early. But, Levis or Malik Willis, they're not going to be able to do that. That's not going to happen. The Falcons be in great shape. You still got to watch out for Derrick Henry, but,
sure,
not as much if you're chasing. So that's the thing.
I mean, even you're talking about Tannehill being a little bit older. Derrick Henry is as well. You still have to respect him. He can still go off at any time, but you're looking at his yards per attempt, overall rushing yards, carries that he's having per game, all that stuff it's been declining for a couple years now. So he's
carried the ball so much. I mean, you look at it, he's been over 300 carries. Last 2021, he was hurt part of the year, but since 2019, he's been getting 3,000 carries or 300 carries a season.
Yeah.
No back can sustain that. It's just too much punishment.
Yeah. Yeah. Well, and he's 29 years old too. He's going to be 30 in January.
Right.
Like that's pretty old for a running back, unfortunately. So, still good. But you look at his 2 years ago, he averaged 117 rushing yards per game. I mean, then last year was 96. This year he's got 70. So, and then the yards per carry is about the same the last 3 years, 4.3. But in his prime, when he was winning rushing titles, it was over 5. So that's a big significant drop to 4.3.
He's taken a beating. The Titans have relied on him heavily, and that's part of the price you pay with a running back. Nobody can take that kind of sustained beating for so long.
Yeah.
Every running back who has, carried the ball over 300 times a season, you find them in decline a lot quicker. It's tougher for them to keep coming back and keep being effective.
Yeah, Mad Mike is here. Hey, Mad Mike.
Mad Mike. Nice to see him. Yep.
And Dave asks, at some point, Bijan has to break out, right? Is this the week, Tom, that Bijan breaks out?
Well, let's see. We got the Titans they are 4th in the NFL in rushing yards per attempt. Going to be tough. The Falcons are going to run. They'll run Bijan. They'll run Tyler Algier. And Cordero Patterson had some nice runs last week. But I don't know, break out. But, he's going to be effective. I think Bijan Robinson's had a fine season so far.
Yeah, I think so too. I mean, it's hard for rookies to come in with the amount of hype that he had. You want him to get 100 yards rushing every single week. And realistically, I mean, no one does that. So it's a tough thing to live up to the hype, but he's been very good this year. Yeah.
I don't think you're looking for a breakout. I mean, he's averaging 5 yards per carry. So Falcons give him the ball. As a matter of fact, I think they give the ball to Tyler Algier too much and don't emphasize Bijan Robinson enough sometimes. I wish they would do that a little bit more. So, but that's just me.
Have you followed any of the, trade rumors? Some of them probably realistic and good moves. Others pretty outlandish. Following any of that this week, Tom?
I've seen a lot of it. A lot of it is outlandish. It's but teams don't want to pay the contract for next year. You got teams that feel like they are close, maybe a player away from actually contending for that Super Bowl. So, you're going to see some trades this week, and I think you'll see a few big-name players go. As I say, we already seen one.
Yeah.
Kevin Byard, and I think you'll see more as teams try to keep up with the Eagles and try and catch up to the Chiefs and try and make themselves a Super Bowl contender. This is the time when you got to shoot your shot if you think you're one player away.
I wanted to get this comment in from Pantera going back to the game. He predicts Falcons win 30-13, and he says, nice no drama game. That would be nice. Love no drama games.
Do the Falcons play no drama games?
Well, no one really plays no drama games in the NFL. That's the way it is. Every game is close. So if you can get a double-digit win or a win as big as 30-13, like, I'll take it. I would love to see the Falcons do that this weekend. And we had a question earlier from Gary. We're getting into the crazy trades at the deadline. Realistically, do you think the Falcons are going to make any moves, Tom?
I think they can if the price is right. I don't think that Terry Fontenot, or I would hope that Terry Fontenot does not believe that this team is on the cusp of the Super Bowl yet. It's not time to trade your future to get that one player to put you over the top. I think there are players out there who would help, who would be a big pickup for this team. But again, you don't want to be giving up high draft picks now for that kind of trade. We'll see how this team develops. It's got a lot of great young players. I think this team can make the playoffs. Right now they're in.
Right, yeah. They'd have a home playoff game.
But, we've said this the entire since the preseason, this division is winnable. But that's not your ultimate goal. And I don't know if this team is ready. Well, this team isn't ready to go. I forget trying to be, cover my bases here. This team's not ready to be a Super Bowl contender yet. And until you do, if you can pick up a nice player, a good backup, or a complimentary player for a decent price, a 6th or a 7th, go ahead and pull the trigger.
Or a player that's going to be on the team beyond this year.
Right.
And is already signed to a contract.
Yeah.
There's a lot of players that are being floated out there as like rental players. I don't know if I really hear that term, but that's what they are, because they're on an expiring contract.
Right.
That's not a guy that we want the Falcons to trade for.
No. And I don't think they're going to. Fontenot has done a good job of wrapping up players for, the people he signed are going to be here for a couple of years. He's not throwing out a lot of one-year contracts. And, it's just not worth it to bring that kind of player in to a team that's gelling, that you're trying to assemble, trying to make a contender. It's just not worth it for these guys.
Yeah, and a lot of the guys that have been connected to the Falcons by the media through trade rumors are guys on expiring contracts.
Right. Exactly.
Brian Burns is a big name that's been connected to a lot of different teams. Carl Lawson, Josh Iecki, the pass rusher from the New England Patriots. Also, I believe his rookie deal is expiring at the end of the season. So can you get a guy like the Patriots pass rusher and then have confidence you're going to sign him immediately? I don't know. Like, we have seen that. Like, Roquan Smith got traded and was signed immediately by the Ravens, but he had 1 year left on his rookie deal.
Right. Yes, he had 1 year left. He was looking for the extension from the Bears, and the Bears didn't want to extend him. And that's why they pulled the trigger on that Roquan deal. Well, Baltimore did want to extend them. They wanted him as part of their defense. And that's the thing. Yeah. If you can find a guy that you want to extend and make a part of this defense long-term, go for it. I'm all for that. But don't sign a guy just to be a 1 year player because you think he will get you into the playoffs. You got to have more ambition than that to sign some of these guys, or try to bring in guys like a Brian Burns or Chase Daniels or anybody else who's on an expired contract.
You mean Chase Young?
Chase Young. I'm sorry. Yeah, Chase Young, who's also on an expired contract.
Yeah.
Well,
another very popular name. Yeah, that's we're going to talk about those guys coming up for other teams and kind of predict where they might land or where they could go.
Yeah.
Pantera proposes DeAndre Hunter from the Vikings to Atlanta for a conditional 4th, which they got from Ridley, and AK-47.
Yeah. Hunter, I would love to see them get Hunter. I wanted to see the Bears get Hunter. I think Hunter has a lot of juice left in, as far as, a player and being an effective defensive end. 29, but still, guys have been effective on the end as edge rushers, into their early 30s. It's not unheard of. I think Hunter has a lot of good football left in him. I would love to see Hunter here.
Well, he was leading the NFL in sacks right now.
Yeah.
So, having an incredible season. And, it would be a big pickup. And another guy he was connected to the Falcons during the summer. So that would be an interesting pickup for sure.
Yeah, so I would welcome that. But, again, you look at Burns, you look at Young, you're looking at a lot of money to extend them. So that's another thing you have to consider. Do I want to spend that kind of money to extend these guys?
Not to mention the draft compensation you're going to be giving up. Like Burns is going to cost a lot. Young, I'm not so sure. Young is playing more up to his name, his the hype that he had coming into the league this year. But he's been hurt a lot, and I think maybe that will lower his trade value if he's dealt at the deadline. But Burns could cost two first-round picks.
Yeah.
Then you got to sign him on top of that. So that's a lot.
Yeah, it's too much. As I said, if the Falcons were one player away from Super Bowl contention, if they were going to challenge the Eagles for a chance to go to the Super Bowl this year or the 49ers, pull the trigger on the deal. Do it now. That's what the Rams did with Von Miller. They knew they weren't going to have Von Miller long, but they knew that they needed a Von Miller to solidify their defense, solidify the pass rush.
Yeah.
So, and they also knew that they were shooting. That was their shot. They were going for it right then.
Yeah, no, you're absolutely right. But even he only cost a 2nd-round pick.
Yeah.
Like that's a lot less than what Burns is going to cost.
Yeah, Burns is a lot younger, too. He has more of his career ahead of him.
Yeah, anybody who trades for Burns has to be trading him with the assumption they're signing him.
Oh, yeah.
Of course, ESPN reported this week that Burns isn't going to be available. So, this is all for naught. It sounds like Carolina is going to keep him. But
yeah, you get a lot of speculation out there. A lot of people are trying to fill, I would say column space. Well, nobody writes on paper anymore. It's so they're trying to fill pixels, and that's about all it adds up to. Carolina's trying to build something, and it's hard to build something when you give up your prime defensive pass rusher. Because then you got to find another one.
Right.
And as the Atlanta Falcons fans know, that's not easy.
Right. Yeah. Well, if I was Carolina, I would definitely keep him and pay him.
Yeah.
Go especially ahead. It's like, who else are you going to pay? You don't have a quarterback that you're going to pay for a while, assuming Bryce Young is the guy. I don't think there's any other young stars on that team that are coming up for a new contract. So if you trade him, it's just you don't want to. You're saving money to not spend it as the owner, and that doesn't sit well with you as a fan for sure. So I think they should keep him and pay him.
Oh, yeah, so do I. And I think they will. I think they ultimately will. As I say, a lot of this isn't worth the online space that, it's worth it. That it's just not going to happen. So, but I do like, it's speculation. It's just not going to happen.
Well, one thing that I don't think is going to happen either is any quarterback trades. But man, the rumor mill is trying to create the idea of a quarterback trade happening. And it really was with Kirk Cousins for like the first month of the season.
Well, it's still Kirk Cousins.
Yeah, but the Vikings have won a few games. They're kind of in it in the NFC North, especially because people are down on the Lions now because they got blown out. So, like, the Vikings are in the hunt, and that could impact whether Hunter's available for a team. But we've kind of maybe moved away from Cousins, and now it's Kyler Murray. Kyler Murray's name's popping up. He returned to practice this week, but he's not going to. Hasn't been named the starter for sure when he's ready to return. I think part of that is Arizona wants to keep losing and get a higher draft pick.
So do I.
And they don't want Murray to play for that.
No, because Murray's going to give him a shot to win.
Right.
Murray's going to give him a better shot to win than Josh Dobbs has.
Of course he is. Yes. Love Josh Dobbs as a person and what he's trying to keep that team together.
He is.
That's just outright tanking. But Murray's
going
to give him
the new quarterback smell is starting to wear off of him.
He beat the Cowboys. You can always fall back on I beat America's team. So but do you think Murray could be on the move? I mean, is this crazy is this one of the crazy suggestions that's just flying around there? And then, there's an even crazier suggestion or question that I'm going to ask you is, are the Falcons one of the teams he could land on? Because that is a rumor out there. The Bleacher Report put it out today that the Falcons
really
might have been a bold prediction, actually. But
I think that's more of a bold prediction.
Yeah.
There are teams Murray can help. Well, look at Tennessee. I mean, you want to team Murray up with DeAndre Hopkins again? That would be fun. There are teams that could use him. Hell, Arizona could use him. But Arizona's not going to play him. Basically, he's not injured anymore. That's the hell of it.
No, I mean, he returned to practice. I think he's eligible to return from IR next week.
Yes.
So he can't. We'll know more about, really Arizona's plans, I think, next week, especially if he's still on the team after the trade deadline. But it is interesting that the timing is ultimately there's probably too many moving parts for him to be moved. Not to mention they'd be taking a Matt Ryan-like cap hit that the Falcons took a few years ago. And I think it's possible because the Falcons did it. And if Arizona really wants to tank and wants to draft picks and doesn't care about the cap space, they're not going to have any players to pay for the next couple of years. And maybe they'll take a $50 million cap hit to move Murray and get multiple firsts. Yeah, I think that's what it would cost. But
we have a lot of talent on offense. There's a lot of talent to build around, or that's already in place on offense. Brian, Murray is eligible, but he's not going to be playing. Josh Dobbs is going to play. So it would make sense because the Falcons do have the, as I say, the talent on offense. And I still think Desmond Ridder could be the guy. I'm not giving up on Desmond Ridder. But if you really want Kyler Murray, I could see it making sense because there are pieces he could make use of in this offense. And I could see him being effective in this offense. I don't know if the Falcons would be paying a heavy price though for it. I mean, Atlanta gave him big time money. You would have to really feel good about Kyler Murray before you made that trade. So.
Of course. And the way I kind of look at it is, if the Falcons are going to give up multiple firsts and like a Deshaun Watson or Russell Wilson like package, maybe it's not that much, but it's close to it, then it's got to be a significant upgrade over Desmond Ridder. And is Murray a significant upgrade? I know Ridder struggled. But I don't think he's a significant upgrade.
No,
not
neither do I.
not to mention, look at what the Broncos have become. Look at what the Browns are dealing with right now. Like Browns are competing at least this
Yeah.
year, but for the most part, those deals did not work out because they lost all that draft capital to build around the quarterback.
Right. And the Browns are competitive because of their defense, not because they're doing anything special on offense.
Right.
So, it's not because of Deshaun Watson the Browns have competed a little bit this year. So, it is rough. You can't. It's rough to take that kind of hit. You're right. Not as much money, but in draft capital, because you still have to be able to build more specialized players and bring in more talent. This Falcons team could still use more defensive line talent. I think could use more consistent edge rusher talent. They've been getting pressure. This defensive line is playing a lot better than we've seen the last couple of years. I think they could still use another top talent on the defensive line. I think they got plenty of talent on offense. They could use another wide receiver, though. There are things you can always use to improve your team internally, and they wouldn't be able to do that if they gave up the draft capital that Arizona wants. I mean, Arizona wants to rebuild as fast as possible.
Right.
And they are going to be looking for heavy draft capital for Kyler Murray.
Yeah. So I think we're going to do a buy or sell segment here, and we're going to have a few names. I've got 8 names on 8 different teams, and we might throw in some other names from those teams as well. I was just trying to get as many different teams covered as possible in the segment. And is this
This is Clo-Clo.
Clo-Clo?
Yeah, this is.
I don't know if I've ever seen her.
No, she usually doesn't climb up here, but she wants attention. So
she wants to be in the buy or sell segment.
Yeah, she wants to be in the buy or sell segment.
So for Murray, who was going to be our first player in the buy or sell segment, we're selling. We think he'll be on the Cardinals next week.
Yeah, I think he will be.
Okay.
I think teams are seeing that these big quarterback moves, unless you're getting a guy unless you're getting like a Peyton Manning, where he's at the top of his game, there's still, you don't know whether Kyler Murray has played to his limits yet, or if he's going to continue to improve.
Yeah.
So you can't take that kind of chance.
Yes. And if you have Peyton Manning in his prime, he's not available. So, I mean, for the most part, if the quarterback is available, there's a reason.
Yes.
So, let's circle back to Danielle Hunter. Buy or sell? He'll be on the Vikings next week.
Wow. If the Vikings beat Green Bay tomorrow, I think he stays, because I think the Vikings are going to start seeing themselves as a playoff contender. Right now, they actually are locked into a wild card spot if the season ended today. It's not that the Vikings have to catch Detroit. All they have to do is stay within the wild card chase to make the postseason and try and make another difference in the postseason.
Be the Arizona Diamondbacks?
Kind of, yeah. Why not? Sure. As far as the Diamondbacks go, I mean, everybody's complaining about the Diamondbacks. Do you actually want the Phillies, though? Phillies lost 2 straight games in their home stadium, in their home ballpark, to put the Diamondbacks in the World Series.
Well, and the Astros did the same thing. First time ever, we had both home teams up 3-2, and they lost.
And I hear people groaning because it's not the Astros and Phillies. Well, they both blew 3-2 leads at home. I don't want to see them in the World Series.
Well, my thing is that everyone is like, oh, these teams are not very good. They don't deserve it. The Astros and Phillies had the same number of wins as the Rangers did.
Yeah.
They all had 90 wins. So all the teams, we talked about this before, all the good teams in baseball lost in the first couple rounds. They were gone. So, but no, everybody in Atlanta was very happy that it's the Diamondbacks.
I'm sure Atlanta, the fans in Atlanta have to be sick sick to death of Philadelphia right now.
Oh yeah, I mean it's a little better that they're not in it. So
Right.
at least we got that.
Uh-huh.
Yeah, not pleased with the Phillies and happy that it was the Diamondbacks knocking them off. Don't care how many wins or how many more runs they gave up than they scored this year. Negative run differential. Has that ever happened where a team was in the World Series with a negative run differential?
Probably, but I would have to look it up. It's probably happened, but probably hasn't happened in a while. But there have been teams that relied on pitching and defense and have gotten that far, but
yeah,
not going to be many. No.
And I mean, well, you're saying it's not going to be many historically, yeah, but going forward, maybe because it's this bigger.
Because you got
more teams in it, so
you get hot at the right time. That's all it takes.
Yep. Yeah, it's true. It's true,
and that's why it doesn't matter if you make the playoffs or not, or where you make the playoffs. All you got to do is get in.
Right.
Once you get in, if you get hot, you can go a long way.
And circling back to the Vikings, I think they feel that way.
Yes, exactly.
They're not going to give up Hunter if they're in a playoff spot, nor should they. They should not be giving up Hunter when they can make a run. And I mean, the time's ticking on that team. Kirk Cousins is like 36 years old. He's not signed to a contract. So yeah, don't give away. I wouldn't give away Hunter. I'm selling them.
This is your shot. I mean, yeah, Kirk Cousins, this is the final year of his deal. He's going to be a free agent. So this is their shot. This is it. This is everything they're looking for. They get Justin Jefferson back. This can still be an effective team. As a matter of fact, the best thing that may have happened for the Vikings is Justin Jefferson going down for a couple of weeks because Jordan Anderson's been stepping up big time.
Yeah.
So when Jefferson comes back, you're going to have a couple of top receivers in your lineup.
Yep. Yeah, that's very true. Very true.
So, yeah, I think the Vikings still feel they're contenders. Even if they don't win the division.
I agree with you. And I'm selling as well. Hunter getting traded. We already covered this next guy, Brian Burns. We're selling the idea of him getting traded too.
Yeah.
We can move on. Derrick Henry, you mentioned him as a guy that has taken a lot of punishment. But could a team that needs a running back, I don't know, or a team that could use a jolt to their offense, like say the Bills, could somebody try and get Derrick Henry off the Titans?
I think they could. I think it's possible. I think the Titans will sit down and listen to offers. So I wouldn't say it's out of the realm of possibility. You give the right offer to the Titans because I think the Titans realize that they're not in it. And this is pretty much it. I think more likely trade possibility would be Dalvin Cook with the Jets. Because Breece Hall is basically, even as good as Dalvin Cook has been, he can't beat out Breece Hall. Breece Hall has been the main running back. Yeah. So I think Dalvin Cook is going to be more available than Henry, but you just never know.
Okay. Yeah. I think a perfect match for Henry, I hate to say this, would be Baltimore. Baltimore, lost J.K. Dobbins early in the season. Yes. They're still doing well with Gus Edwards and everything, the guys that they've counted on before when J.K. Dobbins goes out. But the Ravens,
it seems it goes out every year.
Yeah. But I think they would be pretty scary with a back like Derrick Henry.
They would.
So
definitely. Baltimore would be a great landing spot for him. Not for the rest of the NFL, but for Baltimore, yes.
Yeah. Yeah. So, all right. That's our first buy that we think Derrick Henry could be on the move. How about Chase Young?
It depends on where the Washington thinks they are in their rebuild. He's still a young guy. He's playing closer to what he's used to. what you've been expecting to see out of him this season. I don't think he gets traded. I don't know. I don't feel like Chase Young's going to go anywhere. I think the Washington feels like they have a solid defensive line. I don't think they're going to break it up.
The thing, though, is they already have the most money in the NFL dedicated to their defensive line, and that's with Chase Young on his rookie contract. Are they going to sign him to a bigger deal as well and make that an even more expensive defensive line? Their defensive line is already 27% of their salary cap without a big contract for Young. I get what you're saying. I like Chase Young is 24. He was the number 2 overall pick. He's trending in the right direction. He could be a superstar.
Yes, still can.
But the money is going to really reign supreme as it always does. And I just don't know where they get the money for another big-time defensive lineman, big-time expensive defensive lineman.
Yeah, I think there'll be a market for him, but they're not going to get a lot in return for him because of that money situation. He's going to want big money. I don't think he deserves big money yet, but he's going to want big money. So that's why I don't think if Washington does trade him, I don't think they're going to get much back. Will it be worthwhile to trade him?
Well, otherwise you might lose him in free agency, which you could get a compensatory pick, I guess.
Yeah.
Maybe that's what they would prefer. Take your chances, go on a run this year, take your chances that you could re-sign him, and if not, you get that pick.
Right. Washington still is not completely out of it yet if they can get something together.
Well, as you said, 3 and 4 is the 7th spot right now.
Yeah. So yeah, I mean, the only consistent thing about this NFL season is how inconsistent it's been. It's just been rough to judge anybody. But yeah, I think Washington still feels like they can make a mark in this division. And if they get the right price, yeah, he goes. But I don't think they're going to get it from other teams. I don't think other teams want to deal with the contract situation.
Okay. Yeah. I'm going to sell him getting moved as well. I think they're going to, I do think the fact that he's probably leaving though could play a role in this, but I don't, but I guess ultimately it's hard to trade the former number 2 overall pick when he's starting to play well again.
Yeah.
That's
right.
just, and as you're saying, they're probably not going to get what he's really worth. So that makes it even harder to give up on a bunch of talent. So I guess I am going to sell the idea of him getting traded. Got 3 left here, Tom. Let's go with your Bears. Defensive back Jalen Johnson is somebody that's been floated out there as a trade target. You're definitely no, not
go anywhere. He's a building block for this team. No way. He's young. He's talented. He's starting to make a real impact. And I think the Bears like him. I don't think they're going to get rid of him. I don't think they're going to let him go.
Is there anybody?
They do need to sign him.
Yeah.
Well, I think they will sign him.
Is there anybody on the Bears that you think is available?
Oh.
You can't say Chase Claypool. He's already gone.
He's already gone. Darnell Mooney might be available for somebody as kind of a possession wide receiver. Mooney really has not he and Fields have not really gotten on the same page together. And I don't know if he's as talented as like a number 2 where the Bears kind of have him. I take him as a 3 or 4. And if a team feels that they need a wide receiver to get them, he's got good hands, he's got moves, but the team feels like they need that extra receiver. I think the Bears could get a pick for him, not a high pick, but I think he could be available.
Okay. I think it'd be a decent pickup for a team looking for some wide receiver depth.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So I think he is definitely available.
Well, one of the guys that I've got left on this list is a wide receiver, not as a big name as some of these other guys like Kyle Murray, Danielle Hunter, Brian Burns. These are like all pro top caliber guys. This guy from the New York Giants is not. Paris Campbell, veteran that I saw connected to the Colts this week. Of course, he played for the Colts last year. I think he is an interesting pickup for a team. So I'm gonna buy him being available, and I think he will be moved before Tuesday.
Yeah, I think when it comes to the Giants, just about anybody's going to be available.
I guess the juicier name I could have picked, maybe Campbell was too obvious, but I was trying to pick, guys that we could say will get traded. A lot of these guys are interesting to talk about, but aren't going to get traded. But the juicier pick for the Giants is Saquon Barkley. Like, what's going to happen to him? But ultimately, I don't think he's going to be moved next week.
No, he's not going to get moved. But I think just about anybody else in the Giants could get moved. Because that team is going nowhere fast.
Yeah. And the last guy I got for you from the Broncos, Patrick Surtain.
Oh, wow. I think there are players on the Broncos who are going to get moved. Probably you would not have thought they would have gotten moved earlier in the season. Actually, I think a guy who might be more likely to get moved, from what I hear, he doesn't mesh very well with Sean Payton, is Jerry Jeudy. So,
yeah, that would have been a good name to put on the list. Yeah.
So now I've seen people put Jerry Jeudy and Cortland Sutton on the list, but I don't think Sutton's going anywhere. I think if anybody goes, it's going to be Jerry Jeudy. Surtain can go. Yeah, I don't see why not. I would sell on that. No, buy on that. I would buy on that. I would think he could get moved, definitely.
Really? Okay.
I think he would be a good piece for somebody. Yeah, I think if get the right price, and I think the Broncos would be willing to make that deal.
I'm going to sell him being traded. I think the safety, Justin Simmons, actually is another name I could have put on the list that is more likely to be moved. He's 30. So a guy that is a veteran, probably not going to be still playing well or in his prime by the time the Broncos get this figured out. Surtain is 23. Was an all-pro last year. So I find a hard time, again, giving up talent like that. Teams do it, but
he's a building block.
As you just said, then you have to replace him. So, you get all the picks for him. I think it would be you get a good draft return in picks for a 23-year-old all-pro on a rookie contract. But then how do you find the next one?
Right. Yeah, I agree. Justin Simmons would make a lot more sense.
Yeah. I think Justin Simmons could be on the move next week.
Right.
But I think Surtain's going to stay.
Yeah, you're right. I mean, yeah, then you get – it's the same thing with Jalen Johnson. Then you got to build – you got to find another one.
Yeah.
So, yeah, I think he stays.
Okay, cool.
I got a name for you.
Oh, all right.
Somebody who's been very productive over the past few years has not been productive this year. Hunter Renfrow.
Yeah, that is a good name.
Raiders are not using him.
No, they're not. Another guy that could be of use to someone who's looking for wide receiver depth. And I think he could be on them. And the Raiders are kind of, they're 3-4, right?
Yes.
So I was going to say they're out of it, but they're not.
They're on a downward slide. I I don't think they're as good as that 3-4 record indicates.
I don't think so either. I mean, their wins are against some really bad teams. I mean, the Packers, I guess, are okay, but they beat the Patriots and Broncos, and have lost to everybody else, and lost to some teams that might not be all that good. The Chargers are below 500, Bears below 500.
I was waiting for you to say Bears.
Well, and I'm gonna include the Steelers as well. I know they're 4-2, but I don't think the Steelers are a great team. The Raiders lost to them at home, so yeah, I think the Raiders are not going to be involved pretty soon in the playoff hunt. And if they could get something back for Hunter Renfrow, yeah, I think he could be on the move.
Yeah. Yeah, because I think that team is on the build. So I think Josh McDaniels might be out of there too.
Put him on the trade block.
Yeah, put him on the trade block, right. Interesting question from Pantera before we get to picks. Does Atlanta re-sign Okudah or Terrell? I think they do. Because I think Okudah's been playing very well this year. I like him. He's been making an impact, I think, in that secondary. And Terrell's a building block. Terrell's been a leader back there for a couple of years when you've been looking for leaders.
Yeah.
When you haven't had leaders, he's been a leader. So, yeah, I think both of them have to be signed.
I agree with you. I don't think I have much to add.
Okay.
I think they should be re-signed for sure.
All right.
Let's get to your picks.
Get to my picks. I think I got some good ones. I did pick Pittsburgh to beat the Rams last week.
But you had some not so nice words for Kenny Pickett.
No, I was fine with Kenny Pickett. I just think it's this whole smoke and mirrors thing Pittsburgh's been doing lately. I don't know how they're doing it.
Oh, is that what you would call it? Smoke and mirrors? Because I just call it disaster on offense.
But they're winning.
Yeah. They're stacking wins.
Yeah, stacking
as
wins.
They say.
Well, the thing about last week, they were playing the Rams. And
but they were playing in Pittsburgh?
Yeah. Matthew Stafford is a bum beater. Put him up against a team that's below 500, and he's great.
Oh.
He will tear you apart.
Yeah.
Put him up against a team that is above 500. He is 4-17 with the Rams against teams that are above 500.
4-17?
4-17.
Oh.
Rams are 1-12 going back to 2022 against teams that are over 500. And that's regular season. That's not counting playoffs. But
okay, I was going to say. So he got some wins against above 500 teams in the playoffs.
Yeah.
Because even the Diamondbacks were above 500 in the playoffs.
Fortunately, because he almost lost to the Buccaneers that year. Tampa almost came back.
Yeah, that wasn't really his fault. Cam fumbled like every other time he touched the ball. So
I'm going Dallas Cowboys -6 against the Los Angeles Rams.
Okay.
But Cowboys are coming off a bye, and I think they're playing well. I think they got a lot of offense. I think they got plenty of defense to shut the Rams down. And I just, again, they're playing. Dallas is above 500. So I am. And it's only 6 points. They're only giving 6. So I think that's a low amount of points to be giving in that game.
Yeah. Okay.
I think the Detroit Lions make a comeback this week after a complete disaster last week.
Oh, my gosh. Yeah.
I had the Ravens to win that game. I didn't have the Ravens to blow out that game. That was just.
Yeah. I mean, I thought the Lions were going to win. I was shocked. I didn't get to watch it, but when I saw the score on my phone, wow. Yeah. Like I was shocked. Really, I was amazing. Shocked. Yeah.
So I'm taking the Raiders, giving 7.5 against the Las Vegas Raiders, Lions at home, and Monday Night Football. So,
wait, so you're taking the Raiders to cover?
No, I'm taking the Lions to cover 7.5.
Okay, gotcha.
Because I think that spread. I think that spread should at least be 9 or 10.
I think the spread could be 18, and I would take the Lions. Did you see Dan Campbell's press conference?
No, I didn't. I didn't see it.
I mean, it wasn't, this guy once said that he was going to bite the opponent's legs. So yeah. I mean, it wasn't like anything like that. But you could tell he was irate, and that if he was a high school coach, his players would be running laps all week long. Like I can guarantee you the Lions had a very, very hard week of practice. And
yes,
I think they're going to take it out on the Raiders Monday night.
So do I.
So this game could be over quickly.
Yeah, it could be over early. Yeah. And I'm also taking the Seahawks at home, 3.5 over the Cleveland Browns, because I think you got PJ Walker. PJ Walker, I think, has gotten very fortunate. Cleveland Browns defense has got some turnover. I think they're going to do that against Seattle. Seattle at home, I think they're going to take them. So I like that one. I would say if you want to take the Ravens 9.5 over the Arizona Cardinals, I would not argue with that. Because as I say, Josh Dobbs, I think, has been figured out by the defensive coordinators around the league. Let's see. I would take New England, give them the 9.5 points. I don't think they're going to win, but I think they cover. Because Bill Belichick always seems to know how to stay close to his division rivals. So I'm not taking New England to win, but I'm taking them to cover the 9.5.
Okay.
You got any picks?
I like the Lions one a lot. I also have, I know this is going to pain you, Tom. I'm sorry. I begrudgingly am picking the Chargers for my eliminator over the Bears.
Okay.
I think
I think Tyson Bagent can do it again, huh?
Yeah. A lot of the teams I like that I wish I could take the Lions. Ravens would be a good pick. Seahawks would be, I think, a pretty decent pick, but I've already taken all of them in my eliminator. So I made the mistake of taking a road team last week. I overthought the eliminator, the survivor thing, and took the Packers on the road against the Broncos. Thought, the Broncos not playing so well. My other choice was Seahawks and Cardinals. I just thought Josh Dobbs. It made me a little nervous, and I think it's hard to predict what's going to happen in rivalry games in the league. So I try to stay away from that with these.
I understand that.
And the spreads, because I'm going to reference the Steelers. Like the part of why I did not think the Ravens would beat the Lions was they couldn't beat the Steelers. But I think that just proves again that Steelers Ravens game was just ridiculous. That would never happen again if they played 100 more times this year. What happened in the fourth quarter wouldn't happen again. So, but weird stuff happens in rivalry games. So
yes, that does. Yes, it does. Exactly.
So anyway, I like the Lions. That would be my lock against the spread. And straight up, I think the Chargers are the best bet to win.
Yeah, I think the Bears cover it. I think the Bears keep it close. But yeah, I think that's going to be a tough victory for the Bears next week. It'll be a tough game. Especially with Eckler and Allen and having to mark those two. I mean, Bears are playing better on defense. That's still a tough Chargers team that they're coming up against.
You think that stadium? So, like, Steelers played that stadium last week, and it was almost all Steeler fans. Will it be all Bears fans there?
I think there'll be a lot. Yes.
Yeah.
Absolutely. The Chargers do not have home field advantage.
No, they don't.
They don't.
I think Fox had a joke during a segment a couple weeks ago about them not even having any fans. I think that was Fox. I forget exactly where I saw that.
Could be.
Somebody had a joke. I think it was.
That's
Fox.
another reason why I picked Pittsburgh last week.
Because it was actually a home game.
It was going to be more like a home game.
It was. It was crazy. You have any prize picks?
Yes, I do.
To wrap up the show.
Yeah, we ought to mention Prize Picks.
Oh, we didn't mention our sponsor. That's true. Today's show was brought to you by Prize Picks. Download the app. When you do, use our promo code ASU. Get you a 100% match on your first deposit up to $100. So that's free money. I believe I saw a commercial this week, though, Tom, that Prize Picks is offering the free deposit for anyone who signs up,
Really?
which kind of doesn't incentivize anybody to use our promo code, which isn't really that good. But if you are a fan of the show, please use our promo code.
Yes.
And that supports us. That gets us
Right.
some money from Prize Picks. No money from you. It's same as if you sign up regularly. But if you're going to get the double amount either way, but if you use our promo code, you're supporting our show, and that would be great.
Supporting the channel. Yes.
Yeah, if you can do that. So other ways you can support the channel, like our channel, subscribe, like this video, follow us on Facebook, Twitter, all the social medias. That would be great.
Mm-hmm.
And to get you started on Prize Picks today, if you're a newbie, we got some picks for you to use.
Sure do. AJ Brown, 89.5 yards. He is going to try to string 6 125-yard games together this week, which would be a record. And Prize Picks is only offering him at 89.5. I think he does that easy because he's going to be shooting for 125 yards again. Adam Thielen, plus over 6 catches.
Okay. Yeah.
He's been getting targeted heavy. Bryce Young, it seems like he's leaning on Adam Thielen to the exception of everybody else. And Thielen's kind of past that in every game but one this year. So take Adam Thielen. Raheem Mostert, anytime TD. Okay, Mostert's been money on the goal line. Mostert has found the end zone very, not weekly, but more often than not, you're going to see Mostert in the end zone. So those are my 3 Prize Picks for you.
I've got, because, I heard you had bad things to say about Kenny Pickett. I had to pick Kenny Pickett this week. Over 214.5 passing yards. It's a pretty low amount that even Kenny Pickett, believe it or not, has been over every week but one this season. So I like Kenny Pickett getting over that yardage total. And Trevor Lawrence had some ill words for the terrible towel this week. Did you
really? No, I didn't see that.
So it wasn't really that bad. Somebody asked him, do you know what the terrible towel is? And he said, oh yeah, of course. It's the little yellow towels that they wave. And then he went on for like the next 5 minutes talking, just raving about Pittsburgh as a football town and the Steelers organization, and just super complimentary. It was like, it was like everything that Steeler fans would like to think that their organization and their city is. And Trevor Lawrence, an opponent, was saying it. It should have been like words to, great, just an awesome thing to hear from an opponent.
Right.
Instead, Steeler fans, a lot of them, heard little yellow towels and were very offended.
Oh, for crying out loud.
So, I don't know. The terrible towel definitely has a mythical power. And when it gets insulted, it uses that mythical power to the max. And if the terrible towel felt like it was insulted, I think Trevor Lawrence is going to throw an interception. So I'm over half of, 0.5 interception for Trevor Lawrence. So actually, I don't know if this is actually a very good pick, to be honest. I just thought it was kind of a funny story. Lawrence has only thrown 1 interception in the last 4 games. So if he throws one in this one, though, the terrible towel definitely has a mystical power.
It definitely does. Absolutely. Wouldn't doubt it.
And with my last pick, I don't feel too confident in it either, to be honest, Tom. But I would like to. We're talking about Bijan Robinson getting going. I want to see Kyle Pitts get going. So I'm going to go over 3 receptions for Kyle Pitts. He's been at 2 each of the last 2 weeks. He's only been over 3 times this season. So it's not a great pick in terms of the trends. but I want to see Pitts more involved, and I think he's got to be for this offense to really get to the next level. And maybe the way you fix those red zone issues, you target the big tight end.
Yeah, I'm all for it. I think that's a great pick. So, and I think they should do it. Yeah, they should be getting Pitts more. And you're right. But, with Falcons this week, hang on to the ball.
Yeah. Yeah, for sure. I mean, that's like the Falcons are much more talented. So, I mean, one of the ways you can lose this game is giveaways. And giveaways have been a problem the last 2 weeks. So
that's how they almost lost last week.
Right.
Hang on to the football. Because they left a lot of points on the field last week. So I'm looking forward to seeing, I want to see them win comfortably. I would like to see them where, and Ritter's been great at doing fourth quarter comebacks, but let's not have to do a fourth quarter comeback this week.
I completely agree. It would really be nice to against a team that's, I think, definitely inferior, to get a nice, comfortable win. So we'll be hoping for that. And I mean, it's a big turning point for the Falcons as well, with the trade deadline coming up. We talked about how they're probably not going to make a big move anyway, but you're definitely not going to be making a big move if you're 4-4. 5-3,
yeah,
maybe
5-3. You start thinking,
yeah. But if you're 500, even if you're in first place, I don't think 500 is like, yeah, we're going to go for it. 5-3, yeah, maybe you're shopping a little bit more.
Yeah, could be. Yeah, Terry Fontenot said he's going to be listening, so we'll see what he comes up with. Todd, appreciate your comments, and we will get to them probably next week. So hang on to those, and we'll see how things go tomorrow as far as against the Titans. And we appreciate all of you spending part of your Saturday with us and enjoying the show, and hope you continue to enjoy the show, and have a great week, everyone.